Hey guys, okay, my name is Parker, also known as That One Guitar Guy, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I am going to turn you from wannabe blues playing losers into shred gods with this one simple trick. Are you ready to hear it? Come closer, or don't, whatever. Are you ready to hear it? Yeah, get right up to that screen. This is really important. You ready to hear this one trick? This one thing that every shredder does that you don't. It's totally gonna change your life. It's gonna turn you into a literal shredded god. No, this is not a video where I talk for a minute and then just yell at you to practice. I'm gonna give you actual conceptual things that are like no does stuff, but that a lot of people still don't do. Patterns. Hold on for a second before you go away yelling that this video is a waste. I'm not talking about skill shapes. I'm not talking about your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3s. I'm talking about actual patterns and how you play these familiar scale shapes. And perhaps more importantly, variety in the patterns. And how that can change your stuff from sounding like every other wannabe shredder into something really cool, unique, and memorable. I'm going to give you 5 patterns in this video that I really like. I think they're really simple to get a hold of, and they offer a lot of different stuff, and I am then going to show you how they're so much better. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so pattern 1. This is a pretty simple pattern. It, like all of the other patterns, are going to be over the E natural minor scale, E Aeolian scale. Also, PDF to tab for all of the patterns will be in the description below, so that you can have it, you can practice, have fun with it. So pattern 1 is a pretty simple thing. It's probably this is the one I feel is most likely that you guys have used, because it's a really simple concept that just adds to your overall solo, and it is the doubling every inside string. So you play once, twice, 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 and then once. And this is a really cool pattern. It, it adds a lot of time, I guess, I don't mean time as in like it necessarily makes it feel too long. I mean time in that it lengthens it and makes it feel more like a rhythmic choice in the song instead of just playing a scale pattern. If you do like a bendy, like melodic thing into just a traditional, no matter how blazingly fast you play that, like you hear it everywhere, and it's just like, you can tell that the thought process there is just, I'm just gonna play something fast. And sometimes that's good. I do that too. I do it quite a bit, because sometimes you do just want something really melodic and then a blaze at the end. And sometimes I do default to that traditional 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 thing, but I have other options. And this is a really good one in that it makes it sound less like your thought process was just, oh, I'll put a fast thingy here, and more like, okay, let's do something cool and rhythmic and just, fun. Let's put a guitar part here that sounds sick, like a... it's cool. People want to, like, recreate that. It's like, whoa, all he did was play a scale, but it was more than a scale. And you see, that's the basis of this video, is how to make a scale more than a scale. How to still play crazy fast with just shapes and make it sound like intentional and important, and just all around like you meant to play what you play. Shape 2 is so much fun, and in fact, it's my favorite shape of these to play for that reason. You know that thing shape 1 was, where it was like, you take your solo, and you're like playing like a melodic stuff, into your one fast moment. The point of shape 1 was, instead of just having a blast of shred, to have something more rhythmic and feel more thought out and like it's meant to be there. So while you're not actually playing any new notes or even grouping of notes, it's it feels like you are. It feels to the listener like this is something you thought about, this is something you meant to do, this is something important. This shape, or pattern 2, is the exact same spot in the solo, your one burst of shred, or this one actually works even more so in long bursts of shred in like a super shredder song, like Rusty Cooley songs, Michelangelo video songs, they'll use stuff like this a lot, but I actually really like it in that one burst of shred spot, and it just dials the shred up to 11. Because instead of just playing your 3 notes a string, you're now playing 5 notes a string. And it's just so fun and so intense and so just the right thing in a solo to just all out of nowhere be all. Pattern 3 is the longest pattern and the hardest pattern probably to remember, in that you're actually really changing around note groupings. You get something almost neoclassical out of it, but it's a really fun pattern. And so what the pattern is you play your 1, 2, 3, then you play the 1 of the next string, and then you climb back down the previous string, then you go up to that string again, then you repeat. So, like that. And it just, like, you get some cool things out of it, like, if you want something like neoclassical pattern but fast, this is what I recommend. And it adds rhythmic variance, but in a specific way, and I think it's the hardest one to find a spot for, but if you do find a spot to use it, it can be really, really, really sick, and because people aren't going to be used to it, but they are used to the traditional shape, they'll feel like it's different enough that it'll sound unique to them, but it won't sound bad. And I don't mean bad, because like jazz is a thing. I mean like, it won't sound strange to them because it's something they're already used to, just presented to them in a different, really, really cool way. Pattern 4 has this really, really different thing for it than the rest of them. The rest of them were all, like, you could definitely hear it being in a shred song. Like a shred blues rock jam, something that like Paul Gilbert or Steve Vai or freaking Michelangelo video would do. Like just something sick and shreddy and fun. This one can be that, but that's not what I would necessarily use it for. You'll hear this one a lot more in jazz. And by jazz I mean more like traditional fusion and jazz, I guess jazz too. And all it is for every string you play 1, 3, 2 for your fingers. So, fast to sound. Yeah, and that's something you'll hear a lot in jazz. They'll do like, there's still a melodic part, they'll do a fast run into like that, and then maybe some kind of arpeggios, and then back into like a melodic part, and it's a very different shape, and you can use it in a rock thing, and I would use it in a rock thing to slow down, and not like actually slow down as in tempo change, but to trick the listener into thinking you did that. Because if you're using a lot of the other patterns, like the previous 3 patterns are like, yeah, I kind of fudged a little bit, but whatever. They're all like really crazy, intense, fast stuff. And I'm sure you'll have your other crazy, intense, fast stuff. You're doing your sweeps, your fast legato runs. So sometimes you need to force a slowdown. And this is a really cool pattern to force a slowdown. Because you do something crazy fast, and then all of a sudden in triplets you're going. And it's just like, it's still like triplets and it's pretty up tempo, so it doesn't sound incredibly out of place, but it's a good way to transition from fast stuff to melodic stuff if you don't want to transition with just a crazy burst. Because if your crazy bursts are great from transitioning from melodic to melodic, but they're not so great at transitioning from crazy fast to melodic, because you already have been doing the crazy bursts the whole video, or well, song, whatever. I'm thinking like an Instagram guitar player, but yeah. So if you're doing your crazy shreds, you forced it to slow down, and then you can do your melodic line into whatever you want to go to next. And it's a really, really fun way to transition like that. And it's really, really simple. Shape 5 has practically the same purpose as shape 4. It's just, instead of going 1, 3, 2 on the strings, you're going 3, 2, 1, so. Honestly, where I would recommend using the shape to kind of stand out a little bit is when you're playing modes. And if I'm getting too theory conscious, then you can just ignore this for this next like 30 seconds. But you know, if you don't know theory, but if you know modes, and let's say you're playing your Locrian shape down to your Aeolian shape right there, back, yeah, it makes the transition feel a little better. You go, and that works too, but I prefer the sound of it. And it's just, you know, same as all the others. It's another way to play the scale shape you already know in a pattern that people aren't used to hearing. It's a way to make people think you're being more thoughtful or more thought out with your solos. You're more conscious of what you're doing, when really you're not. You've just memorized these five, maybe 5 or 10 more different patterns to play across a scale shape. And so when you come to a point in a solo where you're gonna play some kind of scale shape run, you have way more options than the average guitarist does. Of course, it's easy for me to sit here and tell you how cool all these shapes are gonna be, like, outside of context, and just play a shape and be like, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this, and it's gonna be so much better than if you just did your normal scale blast. And, you know, you have to believe me, because what else can I say to contradict you? End video. No, not really, I'm joking. I'm going to prove it to you, and I'm gonna do that by, I have a backing track. I'm gonna play 2 solos for you. The first solo is going to not have any of these patterns, and it's gonna be a primarily melodic solo, just for reference. So it will have some melodic runs, and then occasionally it will go to a traditional blast. And to make it more special, I'm an improver, so they're not gonna be exactly the same, but whatever. I am going to stick into this E minor pentatonic shape and its corresponding Aeolian, because it'd of course be easy to say, hey, doesn't that sound worse than do all sorts of like modal interchange and just switching between modes. There's no way for me to prove that the change is actually because of the shapes. So I'm going to prove to you the change is because of the shapes, and I'm going to do that by only playing E minor pentatonic and surrounding melodic notes. I'm not going to stay strictly in it, but it'll stay in this area of the neck, and the only scale I'll use for fast runs is this E minor Aeolian shape. And that way, when you like one solo over the other, you know it's because of the fast runs and not because of the scales used. Alright, so which one did you like more? Be sure to put it in the comments below right now. I'm gonna look in 5 seconds. Done? Okay, good. Looks like everyone agrees with me. It is, in fact, the second solo with all the crazy shreds and in the different patterns that break up melodic parts in just a different way. And they sound more unique, more thought out. It helps a solo hold more weight. And at the end of the day, that's what a guitar solo is about. People don't listen to a guitar solo because they want to hear super blazing fast runs. I'm sure some people will tell you that's what it is. And sure, there's guitar players who are impressed by that and who do that and who like doing that, but nobody remembers a guitar solo because of how crazy fast it is. Nobody wants to play a guitar solo because of how crazy fast it is. People's favorite, I shouldn't say nobody wants to, it's just that's never anyone's goal as a guitar player, just to play the fastest runs possible, because it's not what people care about. Why people get attracted to guitar and guitar solos is the emotional weight that they can carry. They mean something. You hear a guitar solo and it's memorable. You hear a great guitar solo and you'll never, ever forget it. A guitar solo like Eddie Van Halen's Eruption, or Randy Rhoads on Crazy Train, 2 solos that profoundly changed my life as a guitar player. These are both kind of shreddy, but they're thought out shreddy. There's weight behind every single choice that's made in the shreddy, and it's all great because of that. You hear those solos and you want to play them. You don't just sit there and be like, oh, that was fast, cool, swipe up to next guitar video. That's not what it's about. It's about hearing a solo that will change your life. Like solos like those, or more melodic Joe Satriani is always with you, Satch Boogie. These songs and these solos can change your life. And they did with me. I heard a bunch of solos like these, in particular Crazy Train being a really, really big deal for me as a guitar player. One of the first things I ever wanted to learn to play as a guitarist, and I worked at it and I got okay at it, and it was a long time ago. I honestly don't think I can play it anymore. I could have done different weird stuff, but yeah. But the point is, if you're gonna write a guitar solo, you want to make it good. And good doesn't mean fast. Good doesn't mean slow. Good doesn't mean anything other than memorable. If your solo makes someone want to play guitar the same way the Crazy Train solo has made me and a million other people want to play guitar, then you're doing something right. That is what every guitar player should shoot for. And will writing a solo with these 5 patterns, breaking up some melodic lines, do that for you? Probably not. Very few guitar players ever get like that. But it shows you're working towards it. It gives you a starting point on how to move away from sounding like every other guitar player. I say you should use these patterns, but I use these patterns. And that means that if you use these patterns, you'll sound like me. So I recommend taking these patterns and putting them into your repertoire, and also making new ones. I recommend for every guitar pattern, every scale, every run you learn from someone else, you make up one of your own. And you find ways to move between them and mix and match. That way everything you do sounds like you. That is the goal as a guitarist. You want to sound the most you that you can. You want people to hear you and say, that solo could not be played by anyone other than him, but damn it, I'm going to try as hard as I can to be as good as that, to write something like that. And the way you start is you learn solos like that, and you take apart things like these 5 patterns that I found in a lot of things, and one that I made up. But yeah, that just separate you from the pack. Thank you. This has been your weekly shred talk. Weekly-ish shred talk. Yeah. And bye.